Hi again. I'm back. It's 8:15 on the 31st of May, and I'm going to be reading passages from the Bible. I periodically neglect to do that, and I want to incorporate more um, readings so that we can have the information. I've been drawn to Isaiah recently, and also to Job. Let's see what I'm looking at here, and I wanted to really briefly look up where the personal planets are as well, so that we can try to track some of this. I have my ephemeris here. You guys, a lot of you probably already know and work with this. I think people at the church and at the mystery school probably use the American ephemeris, and I'll show you. It kind of looks like a tidal calendar. Have you seen those? Those are for people who, like clam diggers and that sort of thing, will have to know when the tide comes in and out, so they look at the phases of the moon. I don't know if I can. That kind of gives you an idea, I suppose. I don't know if I can get it any closer than that. But you can see the planets in the North Node. Let's see what else. All of the planets basically in the solar system, including Pluto. This was done this goes through 2050. So Pluto hasn't been taken out yet. I don't believe Pluto will ever be excluded from astrology. Alright, so let's take a look and see what's going on. May 31st. I'm in the wrong year, though. It's part of the problem. Okay. Okay, so it's 8:16 p.m. So it's past noon, but I don't believe that... Okay, the moon will be in Cancer until noon, until past noon tomorrow. So the moon is in Cancer. Mercury is in Cancer. Venus is in Taurus. Venus entered Taurus yesterday, so that's good news. Unless you have Taurus intercepted in your 12th house, as I do. I'm not sure if that's good news or not. I'll have to give that one some additional thought. Mars is direct, actually, and it was retrograde for quite a spell, but went direct on the 20th. It's direct in Libra. Jupiter is 20 degrees of Cancer. Generally speaking, that's good energy, right? Jupiter was, before the discovery of Neptune, Jupiter was the ruler of Cancer and can still be considered to be... Actually, no, wait a second, Pisces. So Jupiter used to be the ruler of Pisces before the discovery of Neptune. So Jupiter right now is in Cancer at 20 degrees. Saturn is retrograde in Scorpio. Uranus is direct in Aries, 15 degrees. Neptune is direct in Pisces at 7 degrees. Of course, which has been the case for quite a long time. Neptune's been in Pisces for... Yeah, see, this gives you an idea as to... For a couple of years. This gives you an idea as to my need to get caught up with astrology. If I'm just getting caught up with the location of Neptune, right? And then Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn at 13 degrees. So, going backwards in the sky. Those are the planets right now. Mercury is going retrograde on the 7th of next month. But we'll write it out. Okay, and that's basically that's it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to check on that so that people could have the information and be reminded of the need to take a look periodically at an ephemeris. And what else is going on here? I can take a couple of questions. I think I'm going to try to find the information on BibleNet.org to see, as opposed to, I think the lighting will be easier, will enable me to read more readily than the having to read it out of my Bible, which is a good Bible. I have a nice Bible, but the print is somewhat small. It's very well annotated, and it's a newer version. Okay, let's see. I suspect it's BibleNet.org. I recommended it recently. This is another social app. That's the pronunciation. Hermes Trismegistus. That's an interesting question, Roanoke. Remember, as a child, I was interested in that. Let's see if this is the same. It is the same Roanoke colony. Do you folks know about Roanoke? I'll just go through this because it popped up and I had it in my queue, had it listed in my queue. And one of the Therese asked about it. The Roanoke colony in Roanoke Island, quoting from Wikipedia. So, you know, some of it might need to be cross-checked, fact-checked. The Roanoke colony on Roanoke Island in Dare County, present-day North Carolina, United States. So that's where it's located in North Carolina. The map is confusing. I distributed a bunch of information to people, including, and I think this got in there because I saved it as a JPEG or image file. And it looks like Canada because the way that they shot it, it's a close-up of the North Carolina coast, and it just looks like Newfoundland. It doesn't look like, you know, there's an indication, a key that shows the cardinal directions, and then there's you know, a close-up of the coast, but it doesn't really strike you as being America, so I had to sort of do a double take. I didn't know what I was looking at, but North Carolina was a late 16th century attempt by Queen Elizabeth I to establish a permanent English settlement. So Roanoke went back to, I think, 1585, if I'm reading this properly. The enterprise was financed and organized originally by Sir Humphrey Gilbert, who drowned in 1583 during an aborted attempt to colonize St. John's, Newfoundland. Sir Humphrey Gilbert's half-brother, Sir Walter Raleigh, later gained his brother's charter from Queen Elizabeth I, and subsequently executed the details of the charter through his delegates, Ralph Lane and Richard Grenville, Raleigh's distant cousin. The final group of colonists disappeared during the Anglo-Spanish War, 3 years after the last shipment of supplies from England. Their disappearance gave rise to the nickname the Lost Colony. To this day, there has been no conclusive evidence as to what happened to the colonists. More about Raleigh's charter. There's a really good inset of Sir Walter Raleigh, who was a master, right? Am I wrong about that? I'll let you know about that. He looks like Germain. He not really like the Mahachohan. I suppose that there's a similarity. Okay. Virginia was the first English child born in North America. There's a lithograph of her from 1880. The lithograph was done in 1880. Okay, what else are we looking at here? Okay, investigations into Roanoke. There's some information about Oxford. Well, Thomas Harriot, and in the 16th century, entered Raleigh's employment after graduating from Oxford. Investigations into Roanoke. Reconstructed fortifications at Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. 12 years went by before Raleigh decided to find out what happened to his colony. Led by Samuel Mace, the 1602 expedition differed from previous voyages in that Raleigh bought his own ship and guaranteed the sailors wages so that they would not be distracted by privateering. However, Raleigh still hoped to make money from the trip, and Mace's ship landed in the Outer Banks to gather aromatic woods or plants such as sassafras that would generate a decent profit back in England. By the time they could turn their attention to the colonists, the weather had turned bad, and they were forced to return without even making it to Roanoke Island. Having been arrested for treason, Raleigh was unable to send any further missions. So, Raleigh planned to use it as a base for privateering. In 1590, the Spanish went in and found the remnants of the colony purely by accident, but assumed it was only an outer-lying base of the main settlement, which they believed was in the Chesapeake Bay area. But just as the Anglo-Spanish War prevented White from returning in a timely manner, Spanish authorities in the New World could not muster enough support back home for such a venture. So, some speculate Lee Miller postulated that some of the lost colonies survivors sought shelter with the Choanoke, who were attacked by another tribe, so Native Americans. The Choanoke were attacked by a tribe identified by the Jamestown colony as the Mandawag, an Algonquin name commonly given to enemy nations. They are believed to be either the Tuscarora, an Iroquois-speaking tribe, or the Eno, also known as the Wainoki, or Wayanoki. So, lost at sea starvation is another theory. Another theory is that the Spanish destroyed the colony. From 1937 to 1941, the Dare stones surfaced. Virginia Dare was the first English child born in North America. Well, the Dare stones were believed by some to be a hoax, but some claim that they had been written by Eleanor Dare, who was the mother of Virginia Dare, that they described the colonists and their ultimate deaths. Most historians don't believe that they are authentic, but there are some today that believe that the stones are genuine. That's the Roanoke information. Well, Harold Holt was the Prime Minister of Australia. He disappeared at age 59. There was a search and rescue for him. His body was never found. He was swimming in heavy surf at a beach notorious for strong rip currents. I'm not sure why I'm being drawn into this information right now. Possibly because there's some United Nations activity going on down in Australia. Recently I made the disclosure that the ring would be, Mother would become Mother Regent. That is my belief through the Lotus dispensation. Well, Clara Louise Kinninger has been the Regent Mother of the Flame. So, and according to this, and I feel that Mother is, I think it hasn't been revealed to me where Lady Master Clara Louise goes. I know that she is going to be in another office or replace someone on the karmic board. I don't really know exactly yet, because that information hasn't come out yet. But the mantle of the office of Mother of the Flame was passed to the messenger, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Clara Louise became the Regent Mother of the Flame. The Regent Mother of the Flame. From the ascended level, she continues to hold the office of Regent Mother of the Flame, nurturing the souls of all the world's children. In 1961, and a little bit of background information, in 1960, and this is directly from TSL, by the way, this is the site. In 1961, Saint Germain anointed Clara Louise as the first Mother of the Flame of the Keepers of the Flame fraternity. On April 9th, 1966, right when the mantle of the office of Mother of the Flame was passed to the messenger, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, Clara Louise became the Regent Mother of the Flame. So I'm trying to think if they mean to tell me that Mother Regent is really Regent Mother of the Flame. Well, there's Guru Ma as an ascended master. I will. I'll give it some additional prayer work. But that's Clara Louise Kinninger's story. And Mother, and I will find it for you as well. Mother discusses that the passing of the El Moria ring, the 3-diamond El Moria ring, and I will give you more information about that as well. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Alright, we want to get out of here. Well, not according to, I mean, I can tell you really briefly, not according to Llewellyn. I mean, not according to most traditional astrologers. There's not generally ever a beneficial association with a retrograde. It could be the case, I suppose. It depends upon whom you ask. I think possibly, I don't think necessarily that if it backs up into, someone asked me this the other day, backing up into a configuration like a trine, it's not going to be as beneficial as a trine with all the planets direct, you know. But I'll get some more information. It's an interesting question, and I ought to know. I think it depends. I mean, my impulse is that yes and no, and it depends upon what else is going on in the transit. What the current weather is astrologically. Take all that and you'd have consideration. Lamentations 1-5. How lonely sits the city. Judah has gone into exile. O Lord, I am despised. Is any sorrow like mine? There is no one to comfort me. The Lord has not pitied Jacob. He has abandoned his sanctuary. My eyes fail with tears. Young and old lie slaughtered in the streets. He has driven me into darkness, but the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. Let us return to the Lord. You will repay my enemies. The holy stones lie scattered. The children beg for food. The Lord has poured out his fierce anger. O Zion, your punishment will end. Look, O Lord, and see our disgrace. We have become orphans. Slaves rule over us, but you, O Lord, reign forever. Restore us as of old. I don't know. They're claiming that he wrote. You're talking about Rider-Waite, right? He wrote a book on black magic and pacts. So the Rider-Waite tarot deck mean, he had a role in the Golden Dawn, but had written before the book that he wrote. He wrote a book in 1911, but previous to that, he had written a book in 1898 that was published in Scotland called The Book of Black Magic and Pacts, published in Edinburgh. It does say there's a caveat, and some of the information I'm looking at here that says that excerpts are often quoted out of context. So I don't know, possibly, I'm not sure that it's a ringing endorsement of the black arts, but, apparently he at least knew something about it, and they talk about the Key of Solomon as well. Right, I mean, and Waite wrote a book on the Kabbalah, so we'll have to, we'll have to explore it. It said I don't know. Black magic is not supported, but of course, but I don't know. I don't know the contents of the book. If he wrote a book about the topic, or if he wrote a book endorsing the practice, I don't know. I haven't taken a look at it. It's been a very long time since I've looked at anything to do with, the Golden Dawn, and I don't tend to read anything to do with Aleister Crowley. You have to be careful. I mean, you have to be careful, with respect to what you endorse, and also not taking other people's word. You look into the actual writings, have first-hand understanding of what's been written by various people, so that you can make proper attributions. I'm looking at Ordo Templi Orientis right now. He studied Raj Yoga. He's not just, I don't know. I've heard so many stories that conflict, and then you have, I don't know. There's a story I think Steinbeck wrote about seeing, or Hemingway, I'm not sure. There's a party of expatriates in Paris back during in the whole Hemingway Gertrude Stein set, so I guess probably in the 20s, and there's a story about a bunch of writers, American writers, expatriate writers, sitting in a cafe in Paris, and Aleister Crowley walks in to the cafe, and someone says a remark to the table about Aleister being there, and one of the other writers said, "Well, who is that?" And he said, "That's Aleister Crowley, the most evil man in the world." But I mean, who's to say whether or not that was just a reaction to the fact that he was not an orthodox thinker? I'm not sure. I haven't delved too deeply into it. I've heard stories about some of the practice, and I've heard stories about Golden Dawn, but I don't think that Golden Dawn, I grew up with Golden Dawn imagery. The tarot work that I did as a child had to do with Golden Dawn, and I don't necessarily associate it with anything satanic. So it could be that a lot of that criticism stems from his involvement in different sorts of divination and theories about magic, and possible dabbling in conjuration, but I don't know that necessarily means that he is a satanic figure. I don't consider him to be a Satanist, certainly. I don't know. I don't know. I will look into it and let you know what Mother has said, if anything. I'll definitely take a look and provide you with more information. Isn't that strange? They provide me with the Japanese pronunciation of an English name, and it sounds English when the person's alleged, well, the Japanese person speaks it, and on this it's interesting because you can say someone from East India, you want to hear the pronunciation of I don't know, a sage, an Indian sage, for instance, or you want to hear it spoken by someone from Scandinavia. I'm not sure why Japan popped up. Okay, so let's see what else is going on.
Crowley.
Alright, so... Okay, another thing to know about the Golden Dawn, Mark started off as a Rosicrucian. And the Rosy Cross, also called Rose Cross and Rose Croix, is associated with the Rosicrucian order. Okay? So they're using some of the same sacred symbols. It has several meanings depending on the source. Some groups, such as the ancient and mystical order Rosae Crucis, from a non-sectarian or non-religious view, suggest that the Rosy Cross predates Christianity, where the cross represents the human body and the rose represents the individual's unfolding consciousness. Again, I will fact-check. The Rosicrucian Fellowship and kindred groups of Rosicrucianists promulgating an esoteric Christian viewpoint hold that the Rosicrucian Brotherhood was founded in the early 14th century or between the 13th and 14th centuries as an invisible college of mystic sages by a highly evolved entity in order to prepare a new phase of the Christian religion to be used during the coming age now at hand, for as the world and man evolve, so also must religion change. I'm going to download some of this to save as PDF. It takes a very long time once in a while. Usually my computer's faster than that.
Rosenkreuz. Rosenkreuz.
Christian Rosenkreuz. So, that's the German pronunciation. He's the entity to which they referred in that Wikipedia passage. He's the founder of Rosicrucianism.